So we've travelled into Gippsland today, beautiful day, and we've travelled to see this magnificent house built by North South Homes, and we're going to have a good chat to Wade about how he's come about building this house and how it's constructed and how it performs. So we're going to learn all about the place.
Beautiful.
And you're going to let us in on all the secrets.
No doubt, for sure.
And I believe you've had a fantastic client to work with.
Yes.
And a good architect.
Yep.
So I'll leave you, lead us on, and
Okay.
let's get into a good chat.
Perfect, thank you.
So here we are in Gippsland. We're about to do our pretty much final air tightness test here. And we've got Wade and Mark Polner, and we're going to cover some of the finer details that has gone into this amazing home.
I've only just met Wade in the last 20 minutes, and we've had a walk around the house, and Wade immediately has a massive experience from doing passive houses previously. This house is also designed by David Halford, and he's got massive experience in his passive house experience, as in, I think he's come from UK about 9 or 10 years ago, so he's brought that with him and he's just solely focused on passive house. So give us an idea. This house is extremely challenging from my point of view because there's no straight walls. It's a curved roof, it's curved walls, it's
right, yeah.
Everything you sort of dread a little bit about just building a house, let alone building a passive house. So give us an idea of your experience and just how this house came about. Clients' expectations, your expectations, architect working together.
Sure. Yeah.
It's a big story.
No, there's a lot to say. Yeah, there's no
go.
doubt. You can go on that. But basically, they came to us. David Halford came to us with our background and experience with passive houses, and me coming from Canada, I have pretty good experience with thermal.
Now there's a combination. The architect from the UK, and you're from Canada, so you're very familiar with the whole concept.
It's definitely different than what we do normally here in Australia, so we definitely had some synergy right off the bat. There's no question about it. And the clients found Dave Halford, and they really wanted to do a different type of home. And when I saw the first drawings of these plans and saw all the circles and all this, and I said, yeah, that'd be amazing to show people that you could do a passive house this way. Right, and I knew there'd be challenges, and trust me, there were very, very big challenges in the flashings and all the curves and stuff. But we got there. We're definitely here. We're all the PHPP stuff has still been gone through on all his computer analysis, and it's still passing and stuff. And it's definitely been challenging. I saw the circles and went, scratched our head at first and stuff. And once you just take one piece at a time, they say just bite it one bit at a time, and that's all we did. And next, we're in a finished product. Definitely had some challenges, but it all comes from the owners. Bianca Rec she really wanted curves. And that's, you can see the curved ceiling here, the curved roofs, the curved bedrooms, the curved quiet room. It all comes from her. She wanted all the curves, and every time there was a change or a variation, it was always including some type of a curve. So we had to somehow figure out how to do that. There's no question that the thermal bridge-free construction with curves made things a little bit more challenging, but it still can be done, and we did it. We got there. So, like you said, we go into major details, but in the end, it's just bite one bite at a time, and that's how we got there in the end. Yeah.
So Bianca got her curves. She's got a stunning house. It's on a slight rise of the hill. We've got a fantastic view over Gippsland. You can't ask for much more than that. It's got lots of glass in it. An Australian home, we sort of over-feast it with glass. So there's some challenges thermally with that, of course. So there's great overhangs. So I want you to sort of roughly go through the construction, floor, walls and roof, so we understand the envelope. Johnny's going to do a final air pressure test at the end of our little chat and our walkthrough. So why don't we whip down one end of the house and just start to wander through and give people an impression of the curves, the design, and we'll talk about the construction.
Yep, that sounds great. Yeah,
perfect.
The solar passive design is a really big component in Australian homes today, right? It's been used quite a bit, and a lot of architects are going down that route. But this home has both. We have the solar passive design, and as you can see today, it's completely sunny outside, and we're sitting in a room here that's completely shaded. right? And then the next thing, it has the passive house walled construction to help out with keeping the energy that's in this home. So today it's probably getting to pushing high 20s outside, and we're still low 20s and even below 20. There's so many different ways of getting there, whether it's mechanical blinds, fixed awnings, eaves, or the shades. Historically that the Aussies have been using for years. You can just use them too to get but you do have to shade it from the outside. It's definitely important, right?
We're in an interesting room because this is literally a complete circle.
Yep.
And above us we've got a lookout platform.
Yeah, another circle.
And there's a stair going up here to the lookout. So
Yeah.
that's magnificent. You get up there and you can see 360 degrees around the Gippsland. So give us, what is this room?
This is called the quiet room, or she'll be using it a little bit as her study or a place to come and just have peace and quiet and whatnot. So she calls it her quiet room. Yeah,
We all need a quiet room.
yeah, it's nice. Yeah, there's no question about it.
And
But yeah,
we all need a round quiet room because now it's got much more feeling to it. A square quiet room just doesn't make any sense, does it?
the double plaster was to help keep with the curve as well. Like she also specified double plaster for more insulation and more quietness.
Yeah, right. So just tell us about the wall construction.
Yeah, sure.
Prefabricated or
Yeah, so-
stick on site?
No, it's all prefabricated walls,
Yep.
systems from Carbon Light.
Carbon light?
Yeah,
So
and-
studs with OSB board either side?
That's correct,
And
yeah.
glass wool
Yeah,
infill?
yeah, we did the Bradford Gold glass wool inside the walls there, and with the Intello on the inside for your vapor permeable membrane and airtight membrane, and then the 140 wall, OSB, and then the Extasana Proclim on the outside, and then we do cavity battens on the outside, and then after that is the cladding, which is the master wall 75 mil insulation.
So I love Carbon Light, all 140 mil R4 insulation, OSB. So when you're wrapping the inside and you're wrapping the outside, you've got a solid substrate to put the wrapping on. There's nothing more annoying than wrap over a stud and it's wafting in.
Yeah.
Trying to tape it, trying to fix it. It's just a frustrating exercise. It can be done, but it's a frustrating exercise.
That's right.
You've battened the outside, then you've got your master wall. So now you've battened. Now, a lot of people would not batten, but we know it's always better to batten the wall.
Yeah, there's definitely some pros and cons with the whole specifications on that component there. But what we've done here is we've battened it to allow for the air cavity, so a little bit more of moisture control, I guess, is how you do it. So if there were to be condensation, it would make it through. It would definitely make it to the outside. It's designed in that obviously the insulation factor makes the condensation turn into actual droplets on the outside of the Extasana. It'll just drip down and be gone, never have a problem, right? That's the whole idea of that batten. And ours is a slightly ventilated one because we used rock wool insulation in between at the bottom for fireproofing, and to give it a little bit more, they call it slightly ventilated, so it's just a little bit more air protection in there, a little bit better R value. Like a ventilated cavity does separate your R value from your insulation of the master wall to the insulation of these walls, but when you do insulate underneath with a rock wool, you give it that slightly ventilated cavity, which is a little bit of added to the thermal protection of your home, right?
Because you've got to weigh up all the requirements. You've got design and architect, construction methodologies, and you've got your belt requirements with fire attack levels. So you've got to build everything in. It's a jigsaw puzzle.
It certainly is, yeah.
The rock wool, again, we want the vented cavity because building physics tells us that claddings will leak, so you need to allow moisture to escape. But then you've got to try and keep it draft free so you can gain the thermal out of the cavity. Rock wool, BEL compliance. Yeah. It's good. It's resolved, isn't it? It's the sort of things that if enough people are thinking about it, it comes together. Yeah,
you just got to put it all together, like one bite at a time, like I said before, and it certainly did make us scratch our heads a little bit how we were going to get around the BAL rating and that stuff. And we've done a couple now because most of our homes are out in the BAL rated zones. So we have to come up with that system, and rock wool is a great product for that. So.
Okay, we're not going to stand still. Let's maneuver ourselves out of the quiet room into another room. And we'll talk about maybe floors. So, Wade, Johnny, we've gone to the other end of the house and there's another round room. Yeah. And this is master bedroom.
Yes.
It's very symmetrical, isn't it?
Yeah, it's two round rooms either end of the house. So anyway, that's fantastic. I want to know, just tell us quickly about the floor because we're trying to understand the envelope again. So
sure.
We've talked about the walls.
Yep.
Tell us about the floor.
The floor, so this house is built on a standard slab, a raft slab. And, but what we did for the insulation to make it thermal bridge free is we actually just built the house on top of the slab, okay? And all the penetrations, which would be the doors and the windows that are down on slab, we insulated those with an XPS insulation. And then the floor itself is all 50 mil XPS insulation.
Yep.
With 20 mil chipboard flooring on top of that.
Yep.
And then the 16 mil engineered hardwood flooring on top of that.
Yeah. So look, basically typical concrete slab, you've got a complete layer of 50 mil XPS. Now XPS has a higher compressive strength.
That's
so
right.
people have got to really stop talking EPS because it's soft, it's light, it's not really up to the requirements of construction, I'll say, in a funny sort of a word. So XPS, high compressive strength, might be 300-400 kPa.
Yeah, that's right.
Like
That's
that.
right. It's about 300 kPa.
Yep.
So it's you know, where I'm from, we put it underneath the slabs. It's strong enough to go under there, underneath slabs in garages and everywhere. It's a really strong product. And it's called closed cell foam, right? So that's why it's so good and basically can last forever in any environment. You know, they've tested it in Alaska, they've tested it all over the world, just lasts forever, but gives you a really good R value. And what we like about it here is it gives us the thermal bridge free slab. Now, right? And that's the key. But more importantly is like a lot of people do want to build on the slabs for the keeping yourself close to the ground, but they're a little bit uncomfortable to walk on, where this now gives you a lot of comfort because you got it does give a little bit. You got that little bit of foam that's there, then you have your chipboard flooring on top of that, and then your flooring. So you actually now have a little bit more give as you walk in. You can feel that, and we love that feeling. And you know, the few houses that we've done that on has always been a real high point to the clients. They really like that as well. It's certainly not the if we want to get into some costs wise, not the cheapest way to go, but it certainly is a great way to have a comfortable floor. There's no doubt.
You can, as you say, put the XPS under the slab, pour the concrete on it, but it's a much better solution to pour the slab and run the XPS on top.
Yeah, I think for the comfort level it is. Yeah, for sure. You know, if you do put it underneath the slab, well, guess what? You got to continue it around and come up the edge.
Up and down around all the beams and profiles.
That's right. Once you come up the edge, and we're having a little bit of a problem with some of the engineers when it goes underneath the beams. Okay, so if there's real point loads, they won't let you do there. So then you have a thermal bridge there, so you have to work with that detail as well. So by doing it this way, you've basically built all your structure and you put it in and around that. It really helps out.
Which is fine, and you lose that thermal mass, but it is just not necessary, is it?
That's correct, yeah. With the passive house designs, you really don't need the thermal mass. Right. It's a great product to have. Sometimes the thermal mass is designed in and does help, but if you're designing it this way, you certainly don't have to consider the thermal mass a lot. There's obviously that false sense of design out there where people use the thermal mass quite a bit to either heat their house up or cool it down in the summer. You know, that's been used in the solar passive design world. It's quite big there. But when you're getting into the passive houses, it's just not as necessary.
That's right. And you've got to be really careful too, because if you accidentally let too much sunlight in to touch that thermal mass when it is quite hot outside, it can be to the detriment.
That's exactly it. Yeah, there's no question about it. And so if you do use thermal mass, you basically shade it big time in the summertime, right? You know, and it will be beneficial to have for the winter time, you know. But what I like about passive house is it basically does make you detail, if you are using thermal mass, it makes you detail the external slab part of it so that you're protecting it and you're insulating that thermal mass. I think it's still out there where a lot of designers are designing the slabs without insulating the outside, and it's not a very practical way to go, because basically once you've heated up the concrete slab, you know, within an hour that sun drops. Well, guess where that heat's going? It's not going up into this part of the house. It's basically going out to the atmosphere, because where does warm air go? It rises. Well, the rising is the atmosphere, so it's just being sucked out the edge of the slab and going out that way. So we really just have to insulate the heck out of the edge of it to make it work properly. So we just do it on top, and we think it works really well that way. Yeah.
It's neat as a pin. Neat as a pin solution in my book. That's the way I like to do it. So yeah, good stuff. We're going to wander off to the living room.
Yep.
And I want you to tell me about ceiling roof construction. Rightio. So Wade, we're in the main living room. It's spectacular ceiling. So just to cap off the construction, tell us about how the roof ceiling construction's created.
Yeah, so again, the main structure of the ceiling was a cassette from Carbon Light. So we did, because of the spans, we used 300 wide LVLs to span it all, but they came on large cassettes that would come, just be like Lego in a sense. They would just sit right on here from wall to wall.
Prefabricated panels?
And sit, yeah, the
big
prefab panels, and just sat right on top of the external walls.
Yep.
Okay, and it's all structurally designed and engineered. There's a couple beams in here that you can't see, but they're in there, right? And they're all down inside the building envelope and the thermal envelope. So they're all thermal ridge-free beams, right?
Yep.
But they're down there to help support it. And then what we've done here is we've dropped the ceiling down from there to give you this curve, right? And we do a lot of that in our houses to get the HRV ventilation system into the house.
Sure.
So whether you drop the house, a minimum of 200 so you can get your ducting and your vents in, that's probably the minimum we go. But this one we've gone quite a bit more. We're probably 2.5 meters. You could actually go up in there and walk into there like a little mini attic if you wanted to. Yeah.
There's a huge cavity, yeah.
Oh, there's a massive cavity in this one just because of the curve they wanted to do here, right? But there's a lot of timber in there. It's all what we call like dummy framing. It's non-structural. It's just holding up this beautiful ceiling and the electrics and stuff there. But a lot of work. But where I like it is that it hides all your ducting work and all your important HRV components to this build, right? And electricals as well and stuff. So,
So we've got a roof that's made with a insulated sort of composite panel.
Yes.
So you've got, again, large beams, OSB board.
That's right.
Glass wool insulation?
No OSB on the bottom. So it's the OSB on the top, okay, LVLs. R8 insulation in there, and then Intello and cavities again.
Yep. So roof on top, again, you've got some sort of weatherproof membrane across the top of the OSB board.
Yep.
So you've got a walking. The thing is, you've got this great walking platform. Get up there, put the OSB, walk on the OSB, put your membrane down, tape it, and then you start battening for your metal deck roof.
Yep, that's correct, yeah.
Double battens?
Yes, absolutely, always a double batten. It's a super important way to go. The counter batten system allows for water drop to go through, but it gives you a little bit more of airflow in there too, that separates the tin roof from your ex-Desana or whatever roof sheeting you're doing. Gives you that little extra little bit of cooling or heating type of thing. So the condensation, it will form it, in the cold times of years, it will just literally form on the underside of that tin, drip down onto your paper, and then roll out and just drip down. And by having the double counter batten system, it works really well because it has a place for it to go. And it goes back down the other side of the wall, and it has the same thing on the walls. It has the counter batten system, so it goes down the walls.
We've dropped the ceiling down so you can accommodate the ventilation system. So this house has a heat recovery ventilation system throughout it, of course.
Mechanical ventilation system, yeah.
We're all going to more airtight homes. So we're all saying to ourselves, we need better insulation, we need better quality windows, so there's the three elements to the thermal envelope. Insulation performance, thermal bridging, add that into insulation performance. Good quality windows, double glazed, don't have to be necessarily triple glazed, but why not? And then air tightness. So once you've wrapped and sealed and you've got your good quality doors and windows in, and you've got that element of air tightness as well, you've ticked the three critical boxes to your envelope. So, and then we add on little things like ventilation paths and drainage paths and all sorts of things. But let's not make it too complicated. But yeah, you've really ticked the boxes. But then you've got to talk about ventilation.
Well, ventilation is key. Like, there's a terminology out there, build it tight, but ventilate it right. That's really important comment that's out there. And, we built in Canada for many, many years where we built it airtight because we had an energy crisis early on in the 70s and 80s, a little bit before my time. But we went with the internal wall wrap. It's been part of my building career all my life, right? So it's been part of it. And but they learned from a mistake they made big time in the late 80s and early 90s where they weren't ventilating the houses properly, okay? And there's a mold problem everywhere. Okay, it's like, we stopped all this energy from leaving by making it airtight, but then all of a sudden now it's a little bit too airtight and there was mold everywhere. So they came up with ways of ventilating the house. HRVs are a way, there's HVAC systems, but they felt that a mechanical ventilation system was probably, being in Canada, you don't open your windows in the winter, so you have to come up with a system like that.
Well, you've got to deal with bathrooms and kitchens.
If
you can't deal with that air, you've got problems.
And we're going into that problem here a little bit because everyone wants to do more airtight homes, and you brought up the numbers 3, 4, 5. If you get into those air tightness, you really want to start considering mechanical ventilation to get true proper ventilated home. You know, if you're getting an airtight house and you haven't done a blower door test, well, do one. So that way you'll know what your number is. And if you know your numbers are getting down in those 3s and 4s, then you start thinking about selling your clients a mechanical ventilation system. There's no doubt, right?
Exactly right.
And you know, if you're doing your houses and they're coming in at 5, 6s, people are doing that, which is a great system. Then you're probably going to get away with not having to really need it, and the cross ventilation might work. I still think you can use a mechanical ventilation, but.
And that's what I think as well. You know, if you don't have a windy day, you're not going to get much air moving into the house.
No, that's true. Exactly right.
So yeah, I think a ventilation system is still quite critical.
If you've never had double glazing in your house and you get it, you move into a new house for the first time, you'll say, why haven't I had double glazing my entire life? The house is much more comfortable. And then when you get a ventilation system and you've got your house, you know, you've sort of got an airtight house, and it doesn't have to be perfectly airtight by any stretch, but you live with a ventilation system, you say, how have I lived without a ventilation system? True. So all these things, people haven't experienced them, but the moment you experience good windows and doors and you experience air tightness with a ventilation system, and every room is sort of like the same temperature, the whole thing's comfortable, it's not humid and muggy in the bedroom when you wake up, and you step out into the hallway to get some fresh air. That's a classic. You know,
it reduces stratification.
You say to yourself, why didn't I do this years ago?
It's great for asthma sufferers, hay fever sufferers. You just got dust-free environment.
I don't. Yeah, it's music to my ears to hear you say that. In a sense, like we won't build a house without one now. Like that's basically. The last 8 houses we built has had a ventilation, kind of ventilation in it. It's definitely the way to go, you know. And I think that that anybody can easily get an airtight home.
I'm going to leave you guys to talk about windows. I want to go set up a blower door test.
Good, Johnny.
Perfect.
We'll
thanks.
catch you in 10 minutes.
Yep.
Or maybe 5.
Yep.
Now, Wade, just give us an insight into the windows and doors, because obviously that's one of those 3 elements to the thermal envelope. Where are they from? How do they work?
These windows here are timber aluminium windows. We feel that having a timber part of the window is basically a better thermal energy for your home. So all our windows are timbers.
So we got timber on the
it's
inside.
Painted, yeah.
It's painted though. Yeah, no, I wouldn't have picked it as timber immediately.
The client wanted white, so we just got them painted from the factory. And so they came that way, and aluminium on the outside for the longevity and the protection and everything. So that's a great system. Triple glazed is what these ones are, right? And this is a lift and slide door, so you can see how you can go like that, and it lifts up to away from its seal, and then it's just a little push to open like that. So this one's quite simple. So the lift and slides are definitely a new technology to help out with the air tightness, right? As you can see, you do that, and then it just locks in and closes really tight like that. Yeah.
We know how heavy 3 sheets of glass is going to be.
That's right.
So you've got a nice big lever which lifts the door up, slides beautifully of course, but we know that if you had to pick this panel up, it'd take probably 4 of you.
That's right. Well, some of the bigger ones were actually installed with a little mini crane. They're so heavy. Yeah. So
that's the point, isn't
when
it?
Installing these things, you definitely have to consider how you're going to do so. This window here without a crane would take four boys for sure. 4 big, strong guys.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's certainly a component there. A lot of the windows now that are coming triple glazed, we're just using little mini hoists and little cranes to get them in. It's sort of the best way to do it. So the security of it is second to none.
That is unbelievable,
right?
isn't it?
That's the main thing. There's no question they work. People have a really difficult time getting into it. We have experience with that. But they certainly work that way. And then the sealing is super important for the air tightness, right? Yeah. And you can see that the window itself here is where you have the tilt and turn component, right? So this is just to open your window normally, right? And that's quite nice. And you can purge the house with that, or easy to clean the windows if you want to do it that way. Or you can continue on and just help out with some nighttime purging if you want to do it that way, and you just open it that way and away you go. So it's a good system. And like a lot of people, here in Australia, they want to open their windows, and this is what we say, just do that and you can have good ventilation. There's nothing wrong with doing it. A lot of people have the misconception that, you have a mechanical ventilation and you're building a passive house, you have to close all your windows, but no, just open them as much as you want. Doesn't matter.
No, you certainly don't change your philosophy around windows and doors. You put them in as many as you like, make as many windows openable. You don't change your philosophy, but when they are shut, they're airtight. Simple
That's
as
right.
that. Once you've had tilt and turn windows, you'd wonder why you didn't have them years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
So we're definitely going to see more of the manufacturing stuff happen here, I think. But until then, you know, these windows are coming from Europe and they're working for us. And
Yeah.
yeah, I would really think that it'd be nice to see some more Australian-made, you know,
Yes.
windows in this caliber. There's no doubt. We need more of that for sure.
Let's see how airtight the house is. You know, I know it's going to be great, so let's just see how great it's going to be.
So Wade, you did really well here.
Perfect.
We got a good result for the initial test too, right? But it looks like you've improved.
Perfect.
0.46.
That's the idea.
So well done.
Thank you.
Just yet another passive house.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's the whole goal, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah, we
absolutely.
don't necessarily think it's important to kind of break all the records as long
No.
as we're beating that mark. It is an international standard and we're satisfied. That's awesome.
0.6 is good.
Yeah,
Great.
perfect. Thank you for doing that.
No worries.